All right, Jake, this one's right up your alley. So, from Air and Space Force magazine. Look at that. A
Oh,
misplaced flashlight sucked into an F-35 engine caused $4 million in damage. All right.
Ouch. I thought cops only cause that much damage.
yeah.
That's a lot of damage for
Wow.
a cop.
That's
You
to
guys
their
are
own facilities.
That's an M16 being sucked up or something.
you guys are just limited to cars, you know what I mean?
Yeah, carving your name in a dashboard or
And
something.
your Dodges that you're running over,
Dude, it was
barriers and
only
stuff.
a flashlight that got sucked up. We could have done that easily.
Dude.
So, according to a new accident investigation report, a handheld flashlight left inside an engine inlet of an F 35 fighter was sucked into the engine during a maintenance ground run at Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, in March of 2023. So, almost a year they got that report out, causing nearly $4 million worth of damage. The mishap in question took place on March 15th of 2023 when a three-person maintenance team was completing a time compliance technical directive on the F-35. Do you know what those are, Jake?
Yeah, everything is timed in theory.
Oh, is it?
Like we would do runs and practice runs when we were loading. And they were like, okay, you only have a certain amount of time to load this configuration.
Oh, okay.
The same thing, just in case you need to turn the planes quick
Yeah.
and get them back up there. So there's time requirements for everything.
All right. So that's just built into it. TCTD?
Normally, like all of our toolboxes have foam cutouts. Like I'm talking.
Oh, so yeah.
Back in the
you.
day, what years and
Right.
years ago, I don't know how it is now, but we had foam cutouts, and the bottom was a bright color, and the top was a subdued color. So if you had a component missing from that drawer, it was bright, it would stand out.
Oh, okay.
And you had
All
to
right.
put all your stuff in the toolboxes or account for all your stuff
Yeah.
prior to leaving that area or being done with anything, and then you're good. Like, man, I know one of the maddest times I've ever been or my 2-man was at me is I put a wrench in my pocket, like just a normal socket wrench in my pocket. And then we were turning in all the tools at the end of the day. And I had taken the load truck, the jammer, back to Age to get maintenance on it.
Yeah.
The socket wrench had fallen out of my coveralls pocket and stuck between the seat.
Oh no.
And everything's engraved. Everything says basically this toolbox on this place on this,
Yeah.
And I go back and we're turning in tools and he's like, I'm missing a wrench. And I'm like, I got nothing. Miserable. That 8-hour shift turned into a 12-hour shift
oh man,
we were nights, so the planes were going to take off. We were scrambling those planes, and we had touched almost all the planes.
Would they not be cleared to go if you couldn't?
No, they're grounded if you can't account for that tool.
Because
it could be a flashlight in the intake, or it could be on the flight line, and an F-16 is going to go by and suck it up.
Right.
I'm guessing this flashlight this guy probably had in his pocket that, it was something he bought personally. It wasn't something that was accounted for like you just described.
But we're not allowed to take any of
whatever
that
activity he
stuff.
was doing, set it down to talk to his buddy or something, forgot about it, turned around and they walk out. And,
and that's a big no-no though. You can't use anything that's not accounted for on the flight line. So you can't use a Leatherman. You can't use your own flashlight.
Oh, really? You can't take any of that?
No. The only tools allowed are the tools that are accounted for.
That makes sense. You don't want to leave that shit.
I mean,
it's fine.
You don't want to close up a panel and have something in there and then it just thrash around and cut half the wires.
Well, let me read. I thought it was a pretty decent description of how it happened, and you can understand it. So, a three-person maintenance team was completing a time compliance technical directive on the F-35 to, quote, install a metering plug into an engine fuel line and conduct a leak check on the new metering plug while the engine was running. After the plug was installed, one maintainer conducted a tool inventory check. Before, another maintainer conducted a, quote, before operation servicing inspection of the engine. To do so, the maintainer used a flashlight to inspect the engine inlet and left it on the lip of the intake. The maintainer who performed the engine inspection then conducted an engine run for 5 minutes to check for any fuel leaks.
Boop.
During that time, the cockpit showed no indication of foreign object damage to the engine, but as the engine shut down, the team reported hearing abnormal noises. The maintainer who conducted the engine run performed another inspection and identified the damage, while the maintainer who completed the first tool inventory check performed another and noted a missing flashlight. See, so ultimately the engine sustained damage to its second stage rotor, third stage rotor, fifth stage rotor, sixth stage rotor, fuel nozzle, bypass duct, high pressure compressor, high pressure turbine, and fan inlet variable vane. Value $3,933,106.
Ouch.
So,
If that was an A10, it'd be one bent blade.
are even the turbofan's blade
it
like?
probably wouldn't even sucked up anything. That flashlight would have been still chilling right there, like nothing.
It'd have been spinning around, but then you turn it off and it's just like drop back out.
It's wedged in there. It's like ding, 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 ding. Bonk.
Like spike spokes.
Yeah.
So they did it. They did the inventories at the wrong time, right? Or he did it before, and then he went out and did something after.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit, I'm missing a flashlight. Did you do the inventory already? It's like, yes. Shit. So,
Son, you're going to be in the Air Force for the rest of your life.
now we used to always joke in the Army. Now I know the guy. I know a guy who left his M16. He leaned it up against a track, and the track took off, and it caught it up in the treads and just destroyed it. Right? He brought it back in a bag. But an M16, in 1990 was $700.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, you're docked $700. So much out of your out of your check for a month.
And wait, so that's one thing to make sure that civilians understand. And I'm sure we have like one or two. They will literally, if you do damage to government property, they will dock your pay.
Yeah.
Like
Report
it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, done. You're irresponsible. You destroyed this piece of government equipment. You have to pay $700. And it will come out in one lump sum, or it will come out in
years
5.
of service.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting their money back out of you.
Yeah. Now, what do you think that they're going to do to these two guys for a $4 million? I mean, they're obviously not going to get money out of them, right?
Well, they could stop contributing to 401k.
Well, they can't kick them out because they've already got problems with recruiting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you might be the safest maintainers ever, right?
They're going to back shop. They're getting kicked off the flight line. They're going
LLC,
to back shop.
You get reduced and you go to a back shop, but I mean, how many chiefs have told that story? Are like, oh yeah, I got busted 3 times and I still made chief. Because you outlasted everybody else.
Yeah. I wonder if they did lose a stripe. I mean, that's
they got to,
that's a
right?
lot of government
they're not going to
damage.
recoup that money from them. So they
the minimum had to be an Article 15. At a minimum,
right?
Well, because it was written procedures and you didn't follow them.
God, I remember we had a division that put out because we had privates who would keep trying to jump in the Humvees and just start them without warming the glow plugs.
Oh yeah,
and they would swell the shit out of those things. And they were like, it happened so often. We had a commander's like, if I find that problem, once again, whoever did it, they're paying for that engine. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if only we had a representative that was experienced in paperwork and LOCs and all that stuff. I mean, but he's down in Florida, putzing around. So.
Oh,
he's in Texas. He's in Texas.
I'm talking about Teapot. Teapot's an expert.
Oh yeah,
receiving.
Teapot. Yeah,
on receiving.
That's true. Good point. Right.
I thought you were poking me in the eye again.
No, I'll poke you in the eye later.
Okay.
But I'm talking about Teapot. I'm throwing him under the bus because he's not here.
Yeah, he could give us
local
a lot
representative.
of the ins and outs on that.
He's had a number of those letters. Yeah.
So,
I think he said all the letters. I'm with him.